Hello all and welcome to The Big Story, where we discuss the hottest topics right in the heart of the newsroom. I'm Haryanto, coming to you live from the Straits Times. Now we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, so be sure to comment, share and like our video. While you are at it, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button so that you'll be notified of our videos and when we go live. I'll have my newsroom colleagues joining me to talk about the stories that got you talking today. Now on to our first segment. The body of one of the two Singaporean kayakers who went missing in the waters near Mersing a week ago has been found in Terengganu. A fisherman spotted the body of Madam PUAH GEOK, which was fully clothed and had a life jacket on at 12:50 p.m. yesterday. Her son, Mr. Louis Pang, confirmed his mother's death in a Facebook post. Unfortunately, the other victim, Mr. Tan Eng Soon, has not been found yet. The Straits Times team, Vanessa Liu and ARIFFIN JAMAR, were on the ground in Mersing since Monday to give updates of the situation. Now, they spoke to Louis. Here's a short clip of the interview. Have a look.
Definitely, it's like I really miss her, and 真的很想她. And not only me, I know my other family and my other friends are all feeling the same way lah. And I believe that you know, I love my mom a lot, even since our family members are very close, even from the very start. So, like, I just hope that whoever that out there, like Singaporeans, are also very thankful for all the Singaporeans sending me their love, sending me their support, giving me, like, telling me to stay strong and everything. So, like, I'm truly thankful lah.
Now there you have it, of course. For the complete soundbite interview, you can go on to any of our stories on this update on www.straitstimes.com. Now I have both Vanessa and ARIFFIN in the studio. Of course, they just got into Singapore this morning. No, in noontime, right? About an hour ago. So both of you were on the ground in Mersing since Monday. Tell us a bit more, what was the search and operation procedures like there? What were the sentiments on the ground?
So most of the action took place at the jetty. That was where the coordinating base for search and rescue efforts took place, was located. And mostly the families were very worried. When we got there on Monday, it was already the 5th day of search and rescue operations, and the families were still nowhere to be seen. So they were getting a bit worried because as time goes by, it gets harder and harder to find family members.
And ARIFFIN, understand that you guys also coordinated with, or you guys in fact were on the boat during the search and rescue operation. Tell us more about that.
On one of the days, we were invited by the Malaysian Coast Guards, MMEA, to go on board and follow them out for search and rescue. These guys are going out every day for about 12 hours, combing the waters around where where the incident happened. And the state of the sea was really rough. It was choppy. When we were on the boat, the waves were up to about 3 meters. And it was very hard because all you could see is just waves. And I asked them, like, what were you looking out for? They said that they're looking out for something bright, because the kayak was quite bright, and then the life vest. But it was very hard for them also because the waves. And
the conditions of the sea and all
that.
The
condition of the sea was quite bad.
And understand, of course, I mean, it is a very sensitive topic, and but at the same time also, when you are there, I'm pretty sure when you had to communicate with the family members, it's a very trying times for them. Tell us a bit more, when what do you observe there while you were talking to the family members? How were the family members coping? And then maybe for ARIFFIN, you had to take pictures. I'm pretty sure, because of the sensitive nature of this unfortunate incident. How did you carry out your duty?
Stories like this have never been easy because you get emotional and you kind of want to respect the family,
right?
Sympathize, respect the family. So when they requested that we don't take, we do not take. And then we made sure that we kept our distance, not too close, not being too intrusive. There was one time when the son actually requested that we don't take the pictures of the belongings.
Understood.
Yeah, and the police were actually ready to take it out, is it?
Yeah, yeah.
And when that happened, we all decided to
not to do it.
Not to do it.
And these belongings, I mean, they are not any random belongings. They are personal belongings.
Yeah.
Very personal items of
like
the victims,
phone,
right? Yeah.
The wallets,
ID,
the ID cards.
And Vanessa, I understand that you spoke to the families as well.
Yes.
How did they cope with it? How were they coping with it? Because family members and close friends were there as well. Yeah, tell us more about that.
So at the canteen, that was where most of the families were gathered, and they were supporting each other, talking to each other, trying to find out what happened.
Yeah.
And I think with each passing day, it just makes it harder for them. And Louis did mention that the night was especially tough because that was when the search and rescue efforts were stopped. So most of the rescue efforts will start at daybreak and end around dusk. Because after dark, it gets really difficult to search for anything out at sea.
Yeah. And Vanessa, if I may ask, right, when the news broke, when they found the body of Madam Phua, and at that time it was still not identified yet, how did the family cope with that?
So
they still held hope, I suppose.
Yes. So when the body was found, the family members were actually Mr. Peng Mankit, which is who is Madam Phua's husband, as well as Mr. Louis Pang, Madam Phua's son, were called into the room to speak to the consular officers and as well as the Malaysian authorities. And they came out looking grim, and we actually kept our distance. We didn't want to intrude at this point in time. But later I spoke to Louis. He did mention that, I mean, at that time they still held on to some bit of hope that the body might not be his mother's.
Right, right. And of course, Mr. Tan Eng Soon, the other victim, has not been found yet, and search operation continues. Tell us a bit more on that as well.
So previously they were searching on using air assets and sea assets. So today's operation will be just using only sea assets to cover the ground, cover the sea areas near the spot where they found Madam Phua's body. And because the previous day when the kayak was found, it was found not near Tanjung Gelang, as in Pahang State, quite far out from where they previously were searching. So they moved the search operations northwards, upwards, along the coast. And then Madam Phua's body was found further up the coast. So for today's operations, they are concentrating around the area near Terengganu waters, as well as they'll be sending boats out to the nearby islands and asking local fishermen to actually assist in these operations.
So the locals and both locals and fishermen to assist in the search for Mr. Tan.
For the nearby islands to keep a lookout.
Right, sure. Once again, thank you so much, ARIFFIN and Vanessa, for coming in on such short notice, right? Again, for those of you who have just joined us, right here we have ARIFFIN and as well as Vanessa, who were in Mersing since Monday to actually give updates on the missing Singaporean kayakers. And of course, one of the missing kayakers has already been found and identified as Madam Phua. And for more news and videos on updates with regard to this story, do visit our website at www.straitstimes.com. And on this note, of course, on behalf of Straits Times, we express our deepest condolences to the victim's family, and do stay strong. Thank you once again, ARIFFIN and Vanessa.
Thank you.
Now moving on to our second segment. Artificial intelligence is not new, but it has made much progress recently. AI practitioners are now able to do a lot more and at a quicker pace to shape the way people live and work in cities. In Singapore, DBS Bank is predicting when employees will quit so management can intervene and retain staff. In Padang, West Sumatra, cell phones are mounted on trees that help to alert authorities to illegal activities by loggers in the forests. Now, the Straits Times tech team did an AI interactive package to look into the developments of the technology, including an AI quiz that focuses on the moral dilemma associated with the use of the technology. There is also a video that looks at cities which have embraced AI. Now, have a look at this short clip.
The fourth industrial revolution will be powered by a new frontier technologies such as AI. Man-made machines learning from data are helping to build cities. From anti-logging safeguards to software-powered agricultural systems to assistive robots. We look at some Asian cities who are embracing AI.
All right, now to tell us more about this AI package as well as the quiz, I have with me tech editor Irene Tam. Welcome, Irene.
Hi, Harinto.
Yes, and Irene, welcome back again because previously you did come onto the show as well, and we spoke about tech stuff. But
yes.
Of course, being the tech editor. So maybe Irene, if you can start us with briefly telling us what is artificial intelligence, because really, this word is bandied around, AI, but what does it really entail?
AI, in short, is the science of making machines intelligent by feeding them and allowing them to analyze massive amounts of data. It could be visual data, audio data, or text data. And human beings can do that too, but we can't do that quickly at scale, whereas machines can do that. So they are one up against us. Recent breakthroughs in tech allow machines to learn from things around them, and this means being able to predict outcomes by inference, and without being given step-by-step instructions. So by inferring, it's much like human beings, but still it's limited to certain specific tasks. So the holy grail of AI is Skynet in the movie Terminator, but we are still far away from that. And the brain of a child is the holy grail of AI too, but we're still far away from that. So the specific task that AI can do is, say, to the AI systems can do today is to identify, say, tumors or or the sound of humpback whale or chainsaws, for example. And part of this AI interactive package that the tech team did together with the interactive team as well is an AI quiz that touches on issues with regard to AI or surrounding AI, the moral and ethical implications. Can you, just bring us through that as well, more on that? Right. The main objective of the AI quiz is to expose readers to the idea of living with AI and expose them to some of the considerations that system implementers have to deal with when they design AI systems. We ask readers 6 questions, and most of the questions are based on real scenarios that are already taking place today. The first one is a hypothetical example, but still, I mean, it's a good, question to ask because eventually we will have to answer such a question. So the question that we dealt with, the hypothetical example, was that of a driverless vehicle. Whom should the driverless vehicle hit if it's on a collision course? So, whether they must be programmed, whether they should be programmed to choose who should live in a potential collision, the young or the old, many over a few, or choose between law-abiding bystanders or law-breaking jaywalkers. So that was the first question. And then subsequently, we ask questions that revolve around AI as a police, in surveillance, AI as a HR officer in watching who we should promote and who should not be promoted, and who should we retain and who should not be retained, and AI as a health watcher, AI as a lifeguard, and AI as a money lender. So in all these instances, there's this underlying need for trust to be built. Trust that the data collected, whatever you do with the data, your business models will all be transparent to users and consumers, and that the right steps and enough steps are put in place to protect the data. There's a lot of there are some ethical frameworks today that have been built around these issues. They are pretty conservative at this point in time. And so programming that kills or is forced to decide between who should live and who should die is forbidden today. The need for human intervention is needed for decisions like that.
And Irene, we are talking about ethical issues with AI, and you brought up, the classic example of the life and death issues. We also cannot deny that there are benefits to this technology, which, of course, in the video, there's been highlighted, right? Cities have embraced the use of AI to help with certain aspects of our processes and all that. In your opinion, then, how far should we then go with this technology? What is enough? How do we say that, okay, we've benefited enough from this technology, this is the line, let's not cross it?
How far we should go with AI really depends on our appetite for risk.
Yep.
By looking at the ethical guidelines and frameworks that are already in place, I'll cite two examples. The one in EU, which is very wide in its breadth because it needs to cover all the EU nations, and it needs to consider a lot of things. So it's very wide, and they have 7 key principles. One is human oversight. AI is supposed to empower human beings and assist in decision making, not to take over the decision making process. And another key requirement is technical robustness and safety, privacy, data governance, transparency, diversity and non-discrimination, societal and environmental well-being, and accountability. So these are broad principles in the EU guidelines, EU framework. Singapore has also came up with its own ethical framework. It's a living document, and it's evolving, and it keeps changing depending on the requirements and our appetite for risk. And the Singapore framework has similar overriding principles, but it dives deeper with prescriptions on what are some of the things that can be done and cannot be done. For example, when human involvement is necessary, it depends on the severity of harm. For instance, if we are talking about just e-shops and recommendations engine, it's considered low severity of harm, and as such, the machine can take over the recommendation without human intervention. But where the severity of harm is high, for example, in medical diagnosis and also treatment suggestions, then human being involvement is necessary. Also in HR, human involvement is also necessary. They call it human in the loop.
Okay.
Right.
So that is based on those 2 frameworks, yeah?
Right, that's right. And also, in circumstances where the critical, safety critical or life and death situations, the human in the loop is definitely necessary. Nobody wants to give over control and the decision over who should live and who should die to a machine. No matter, how developed a society is, I think there are certain limitations that we don't want to give over control to machines, and which can be open to biases, and depending on the amount of data and the right type of data and what sort of data we feed the machine. And then there's this question also on accountability. Who is responsible for fatal consequences when machines fail, right? The victim, the driver, the system developer, or the service provider. Even the insurance industry is still working out and figuring out how this thing works. So I think we're still it was still many years before we can finally reach there.
And of course, I think the main takeaway, and you mentioned this as well, Irene, is that the thrust of it is trust.
That's right.
Trust underpins the whole AI technology.
That's right.
Right. Once again, thank you so much, Irene, for coming onto the show to tell us more about the AI interactive package on our website, www.straitstimes.com. Of course, you can go on and even try the AI quiz to see how ready are we to live with AI, and of course the moral dilemma and the ethical implications that come with the technology. Now, earlier on, of course, we spoke to our colleagues Vanessa as well as ARIFFIN, who were in Mersing since Monday to cover the story about the Singaporean kayakers who have gone missing. Of course, one of the victims has already been found, and that is Madam PUAH. And then earlier on also, we talked to tech editor Irene Tam to share more on the AI interactive package that ST did, of which you can also find on our website. And we do see a lot of comments expressing condolences and of course thoughts and prayers to the family. Again, on behalf of the Straits Times, we'd like to express our deepest condolences and sympathies to the families who have been caught in the unfortunate incident. Once again, I'm Haryanto. Join us tomorrow for more stories on A Big Story.